Namaste, my friends. Today I'm going to talk about astrology research and specifically how to evaluate the findings of your research. For example, suppose you look at a group of charts and you find that, I'll use the example that we're going to use today. You find that singers, people that sing and were successful as singers, have something in their charts that some other group does not have. And the other group we're going to look at is scientists. So we in fact find a difference. We see that the singers have something in their charts, it was in the sky at the time they were born that was not in the charts of the scientists. And furthermore, it's something we expected to find. Now, how do we know how impressive our results are? Well, I'll show you how you do that. Okay, so here we are in the Sirius 1.3 software. I put up a pretty chart wheel so you don't fall asleep, since we're going to be talking about analyzing numbers. I know it's not the most exciting thing for people in astrology sometimes. Anyway, this is from our pastel collection. It's an optional art wheel. It does not come with the program. But anyway, has nothing to do with what I'm doing today. I want to talk about how you evaluate research results. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into the research features of Sirius. I'm in Sirius 1.3. So I go to the research, which is this purple icon over here, and I click on Astro Signature Research. So I'll click on that. There's another video called Introduction to Research where I describe this Astro Signature Research feature. So you can watch that if you want to learn more about what this Astro Signature Research is. But you don't have to jump there now if you haven't seen it. This will still make sense. Okay, so I'm in this Astro Signature Research, and in the previous tutorial video, the one on the introduction to astrology research, we made this Astro Signature called Singer Ability. And what I had done, so I'm clicking on this Astro Signature called Singer Ability, which we had made in the previous video, and I'm going to click on this Customize highlighted Astro Signature, and I'm going to click on this option to customize, or just view it. In this case, I'm not really going to customize it. I just want to view it. I just want to see what it is. And there it is. We decided that if you have Sun in Taurus, there's a good chance you have singing ability. We'll give you 5 points for that. And if you were born with Moon in Taurus, we'll give you 5 points for that. Should increase the probability that you can sing well. Of course, it will help if you got training in singing, if you grew up in a musical family, all kinds of things. But everything else equal, we might speculate that this could give some advantage to having the ability to sing. Astrology books say these kind of things. Now, some astrologers don't think these things should be taken that literally. Some do. Well, we can find out using this research. And then I made up an aspect, Mercury conjunct Venus. I figure Mercury, communication, speaking mellifluously, beautifully, Mercury, Venus. I just made it up. I gave it a 3-degree orb, and I gave it more points, 10 points. And then just to demonstrate the speed of planets, decided, Venus not being retrograde might help. Maybe if Venus is retrograde, I don't know, maybe that would affect your singing ability. So we threw that in there. We only gave it 1 point anyway, so it would have almost no effect. We're giving most of the weight to Mercury conjunct Venus. So we make this Astro Signature, and then we tested it out. So I'm just going to cancel, because I didn't change anything anywhere. I'm just viewing. Okay, and I'm back here. So now we run it on a group of singers. Well, there are lots of charts in the Sirius software, and we'll select accuracy. We have an option here for accuracy, and we'll only do the A or better charts. And then we did the analysis. Now, I had done this in the previous video, but what I'm going to show you now is how to evaluate the results. Because what we found is that the singers did score higher. Okay, this goes off my captured area of the screen. I'm capturing a small part of my screen here for the tutorial video. So drag this down here, and it shows us the average score is 251. So that's great. Now I'm going to go back to this window, and to evaluate is that impressive or not? So singers got 251 average score. Is that good? That's what I'm going to show you in this video. First, we're going to save the results to file. So I click on this button here on this main window, save results to file, and it gives me a default name, ast.sig singer ability underscore singers. Great. Sounds good to me. Let's call it that. The astro signature is singer ability, and I'm doing it for singers. Good. And then I have some options here. For format, I'll just accept the default format, save in table format, view with fixed width font. I can save it as a comma delimited file, etc. I got some other options. So I go ahead and I save that. I had made this file before I gave the before giving this tutorial to practice what I was going to say, and I already saved it. So do I want to replace it? Yes. And then it tells me the results are saved in C:\\, well, I have Series 12 new it's a funny folder name that I have because I'm developing things. Anyway, it goes into a folder called Research within the folder where Sirius is installed, and there's the name of the file. And then it repeats this path, as we call it, again to make it clear that the file, this file, ast.singer_ability underscore singers, is in this folder. So it's in the research folder of the folder where Sirius is installed. Okay, great, it's there. So now I've saved that, and what I'm going to do is run this singer ability for people that are not singers. Why would I do that? So I'm going to go over here to select a more specific category. I'm going to select these scientists, biologists, chemists, engineers, technical people. Click OK. Now it tells me I've selected that group, and I run the analysis again. So why am I doing this? Why am I doing singing ability for people that are not singers? I figured scientists have nothing to do with singing. I mean, by random possibility, some of them will be singers, but not most of them. It's a group unrelated to singing ability. So I'm picking this group because I expect them to not score as high as the singers. And this is what we do in research. We compare two groups, right? I mean, it's common sense. I've got an idea what makes you a good singer. I try it on my singers. I try it on some other group completely unrelated. Then we see what happens. Now, one of the reasons why this research is so important is because there is no bias selection. This data, in other words, was not collected at the same time I'm doing the research. So there's no way that as the data was collected, we were looking to see if Sun was in Taurus or Moon was in Taurus. We're just collecting data. I mean, that's a fairly good assumption. So that's important in terms of testing some astrological idea, because it's what's called bias in the selecting procedure. Realistically speaking, we're sure that there's no bias. So I'm going to save the results, and notice the average score is less. It's only 187. For the singers, it was 251 or something. It was considerably higher. So I'm going to save these results, and it gives me a file name of ast.sig singer ABI. It's abbreviated it a little bit. Scientists and TE, which was for technical. Oh, maybe I'll spell that out a little bit. Oh, it's at my maximum length. Let's just say scientists. Looks a little prettier that way. Okay, so now I've got this for scientists, and I save this. Now, if you're getting lost, hold on a second. I'll explain again what we're doing. So it's saved the results. Let me repeat. It's very simple. Very, very, very simple. All I'm doing is I'm saying, here are things that make you sing well. You have Sun in Taurus, Moon in Taurus, Mercury conjunct Venus. You get more points for the more of those things you have. And I'm expecting that singers will have these things more than scientists. That's all I'm saying. And I saved my results for the singers and for the scientists. And now I compare them. So this is the heart of my little tutorial here today, is how do we evaluate it? 250 sounds like a lot more than 187 to me, doesn't it? I mean, seems pretty impressive. How impressive is it? Well, in the Sirius software, it will tell us how impressive it is, or how dramatic, how strong that difference is. And it's this thing called t-test. This little button here, little innocent-looking button, is very powerful. So there's all kinds of cool features that just look like little innocent buttons, but they're very cool. And this is one of them. So I click on t-test. T-test is a kind of test that tells you how big the difference is. Is 251 versus 180, whatever it was, is that a big difference or not? 187, is that a big difference or not? Well, there's a way to measure that. And what this feature does, I've clicked on the t-test, is I pick my two sets of scores. What is it called? Ast, Sig, Singer, Ability. Well, I've got lots of things in here because I do a lot of research. Here it is. So I'll click on this. Let me scroll this up just to bring it in the middle there. Ast, Sig, Singer, Ability for singers. And then I had Ast, Sig, Singer, Ability, Scientists. There it is. Actually, right before this lecture, I had saved it with this name. So you see a similar name there. But here's the one I just saved. So there they are. These are the two I want to compare. And just to confirm that I'm looking at the right data, I can click on View Data. And this, in fact, is the data of the singers. And if I click View Data here, this is the results up here. Well, if I click here, oh, I can't click there at the moment. Anyway, it's just confirming the results. Anyway, that's not that important. The important thing is I pick the two groups I want to compare: AstroSig for singers, the singer ability astrosignature for singers, and the singer astrosignature, singer ability astrosignature for scientists. Anyway, singer ability for singers versus scientists, and I just click on the button to compare data and calculate statistics. Sorry for I seem to be tongue twisted today. Sorry about that. And there it is. Ta-da! It tells us how big the difference is, and what it tells us. I'll explain how you read this. It says t-test to determine if values are different, statistically significant at the 0.01 level, tested at the 001, 01, 02, and 05 levels. So, what it's telling us is that it's statistically significant at the 0.01 level, and it tested it at these three levels. Now, what does that mean? It's very simple. Don't let the fancy words scare you if you're not into, math and statistics and stuff. It just means it's less than 1 out of 100. It's the probability. That's all it means. It means that in the probability that we would get 250, an average score of 251 versus an average score of 187. It's actually more than just comparing the average. It has to do with the whole distribution of the scores. It's a little more involved in that. But the basic idea is it's saying these scores are higher for singers. And the probability of getting that is 1 out of 100. Now this is really mind-boggling. I made up an astro signature off the top of my head for some things that would seem to work, and it proved to actually work. The probability of me getting these results is 1 out of 100. Now, you could say, well, you got that 1 out of 100. And if I flip a coin, well, that's not the best example. Anyway, the probability is 1 out of 100 that you can get this big of a difference. Well, flipping a coin is a good example. If I flipped a coin 100 times, maybe the probability that I get heads 75 times or 70 times is 1 out of 100. That's what the t-test tells me. And there are certain assumptions about the t-test. It's normally distributed and so on. We can graph the results. They do have a good normal distribution. There's essentially no bias in the selection. This is an appropriate statistical test, and it found the results are highly significant. It's considered to be very impressive. So have we just proved astrology right there, just in our little tutorial? Pretty close. There's one more big step. We would have to collect more data and repeat the study, get more singers. It's easy to find non-singers. I can just do another group of non-singers, any other group of charts. But if I collected, say, another 100 or 200 charts, you need probably a fairly good number. I have over 300, I think it was, in this case. So you'd want to have, almost the same amount. And then if we got statistical significance again, then that's more strongly suggesting we've proven astrology, that this actually works. And we could fiddle with our formula and make it better. Anyway, you've got the idea. That's how research is done, on a more formal or academic level. And even if you're not interested in being formal and academic, it's just really cool to know how impressive your results are. It gives you a way of seeing what your numbers are saying. That the singers more often have Sun and Moon in Taurus and Mercury conjunct Venus and Venus direct than the non-singers. Now that's a fact. Was it a 1 out of 100 stroke of luck? Probably not. We would assume statistically, and maybe it is possible to validate astrology. Anyway, that's how it's done. What's really cool, let me return to previous menu here, is that it's easy to do. All you do is make up an astro signature, run it through, click on this t-test, save the results, click on t-test, and it tells you the probability of getting those results. You can get lost in this for the rest of your life because you can go in, tinker with your formula. We have other research features for finding things. By the way, if you have the Kepler software, it has all these same features that are in Sirius, but it doesn't have the t-test. So that was something we had added to Sirius. And up to now, most astrologers haven't been using these research features. We're making these tutorial videos to get the word out that there's really exciting, cool things you can do. And the last thing I want to say, and then I'll end this video, is why do we have these features in Sirius? All these fancy analysis, very few people use them. The reason is because our vision for Sirius is to be a total resource. If you go into the Vedic features, the Hellenistic features, the medieval features, you find it goes on and on and on with all these very advanced and specific calculations. It's not just superficial. You go into essential dignities, you can customize them, create your own tables. Why do we do that when only 1 out of 1,000 customers would use any of these features? Because we love astrology. We want to make a total resource so that you can go wherever you want to go and do whatever you want to do. Of course, it's a never-ending story, and we just keep working at it. But it's to give you an idea of the depth of where you can go and what you can do in this part of the software, and to make it easy. As long as you understand how to get there and why it's there, it opens up a lot of doors for you. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. God bless. Namaste.